I adore video games. It's probably my favorite form of art. They can make you laugh, cry, smile, jump out of your seat for joy. I also think they're a great way to relax and chill out. Spend a moment to clear your mind and zen out. Cuddle up under a blanket and just veg out. But not every video game can be relaxing. Other times... Yeah, sometimes games aren't that relaxing, and that's perfectly fine. Not every video game needs to be the Stardew Valley or The Sims. But what about places in video games? Spots where you sit down to take in the views, where the music will whisk you away from all your troubles, even for just the smallest moment. Places that make you feel cozy. Well, that's what I want to talk about today. Places in games that are not designed to be cozy, but still elicit the feelings of being wrapped in a warm blanket. Like, you want to sit down next to a fire and drink some hot cocoa. But I do want to put some ground rules in first. First things first, only one location per game, and if possible, one game per series. I don't want to have to tell you that if this rule was not in place, there'd be games taking up a majority of this list. Number 2, the game must not be designed to be cozy. How do I define that? I would define that as things like The Sims, Stardew Valley, or Animal Crossing. Games with an express mood they wish to have for you while playing that game. Those games already have a major advantage by having the whole game be comforting. That wouldn't be fair. And finally, I'm talking about locations, not the games themselves. So the games could be like... Or they could be like... As long as the location is significantly cozy enough, I think it has a chance to make it on the list. Most importantly, these are my opinions. You can disagree and say the place stresses you out, but this list is about what I find comfortable. If you have some thoughts, feel free to write them down in the comments. Oh, and while you're down there, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Anyway, let's set the scene, and also minor spoilers for these games. I grew up in a relatively small town. A lot of people knew each other, and running into people you knew at the grocery store was a common occurrence. It was pretty nice. So when I see games with small towns, it always kind of makes me feel like home. And out of recent memory, nothing quite captures the small town feel like Hometown from Deltarune. Yeah, I'm already talking about Deltarune so soon after the last video, but what did you expect? This place is one of the coziest small towns in games of recent memory. Everyone here knows each other. There's this one small school, you can walk the entire length of the town, it's got a really cool pond. With the color of the trees being in a crisp fall yellow, it makes me feel like I'm walking in the woods around my hometown during the fall. I want to grab my coat, boots, and a nice warm cup of cider and just soak in the good vibes. It's also stated to be a very safe town. The police don't really have a lot of work to do as much as you would think. Well, safe normally, but there's this kind of... Well, there's this prophecy going on in the background, but it's still a safe place I would love to visit if I could. The music of Hometown sets the atmosphere really well too. It has 2 major tracks that you play while exploring it. One is called Hometown, being the very first song you hear. The song's main instrument is a piano, something that is generally played calmly and gently. The entire song just makes it seem like it's a sleepy little town with nothing going on. A nostalgic motif of Snowdin plays in the middle of it, bringing back memories of Undertale. In Chapter 4, the theme changes to one called Another Day in Hometown. This song picks up the pace from the previous song, with some added horns and other accompaniment alongside the nostalgic piano. It's very playful, telling you things like, hey, the town might be a little bit busier now, but it's still the same small hometown that you know. It's just in prep for the festival that's coming tomorrow. Oh my god, the festival is tomorrow! Everyone is excited, so the song plays alongside that with the upbeat tone. Hometown is a place that immediately comes to mind when I think of the word cozy. It's small, quaint, and very nostalgic. giving the players a nice place to rest between the crazy moments in the dark world. Those trees. Man, fall is one of my favorite seasons. The cooler nights allow me to crack my windows open, the color of the trees giving away to that crisp fall air. When I was a kid, around this time, my family would always go camping. Something about those campgrounds in video games always filled me with nostalgia. Camping can go one of two ways. It's either at a state or it's at a privately run campground. And sometimes those privately run campgrounds can be a bit questionable. Psychonauts 2 is an amazing game, a collectathon platformer that has a lot of focus on its characters and story. Coming from the mind of Tim Schafer over at Double Fine, this was a well-anticipated game to come out, and I think it succeeded in a lot of places the first game set up for it. It has amazing art design, very lovable characters, and a heartfelt story about mental health. But one of the things that really sticks out to me is the part of the map called the Questionable Area. An old, run-down campground situated by Psychonauts HQ. If you know anything about cheap roadside attractions in the US, it would fit right up to that qualification. The entire place is advertised as a place where crazy things happen. The waterfall goes the opposite way, they heavily advertise a creature known as the Sasclops, and there's a pancake restaurant on site. It's abandoned now, but I could see the place in its heyday, with children milling about, the people gathered by the campfires, the camp activities helping to make the sense of wonder and amazement of the campground. But that's not what's here anymore. It's run down, and the only people out here besides the other interns and Raz are the Flying Aquatos, Raz's family. But the whole place reminds me of camping with my own family back in the day. The Questionable Area has a lot of nooks and crannies in it to find hidden items and fun dialogue with the other interns and Raz's family. It's also just super fun to explore. The whole area has a well-designed sense of flow from one end to the other. You can clearly get your bearings here too, with plenty of landmarks to guide you. The entire place, despite being run down, feels like it was well lived in, with plenty of history behind it as well. Everything here screams the cheap roadside campground, and that makes it extremely cozy. It's a place I could see my family going to during the summer, setting up our camper by the river, playing with toy boats, having fires, and eating pancakes at the restaurant, or riding the funicular over and over and over again. Hell, I'd go camp here today if it wasn't so run down. But the cherry on top of the cozy Sunday here is the music. My God, the music! Composer Peter McConnell really put the feeling of being on a small campground with your family into music form. The instruments chosen, the tone of the music, and general atmosphere it brings makes this place so memorable. It's warm, inviting, and slightly adventurous. Something that I would want to feel when out exploring the woods. It gives me so much joy and wonder. I think there's something that gives the rustic feel is all the plucking done on the banjo for this song. This song, and this location in general, is one of my favorite places in all of Psychonauts 2. You go to so many fantastical places, see so many wonderful sights, but this is one of the locations that I always seem to gravitate to. This small, lone, abandoned campground. I could spend hours here just looking down the flowing river and listening to the guitars play me the joyous songs of the wilderness. The woods are super nostalgic for me. Between camping a lot with my family and going on plenty of hikes, I also lived near the woods as a kid, watching out the window of my room as the seasons changed. Fall bringing the wonderful color of the leaves, and then the winter taking it all away only to be covered in a blanket of snow. Then eventually, spring brings back everything with a pop of green. Being able to watch the critters walk around was always something I always loved as well. So, when I was told to pick a starting city in Final Fantasy XIV, out of all the choices I had between a sea city and a desert city or a city in the forest, well, it wasn't that hard of a choice. If you've been with the channel long enough, you've heard me talk a lot about Final Fantasy XIV, and I mean a lot. And I'm back again to talk about the city of Gridania. Being surrounded by the woods, it makes me feel at home. Deep in the Twelveswood of the continent of Aldenhard, otherwise known as Eorzea, the city of Gridania sits. Home to the best healers in the land and some of the best carpenters in the land, it's a cozy little town in the middle of it all. Flowing rivers run through the center of town, and those who have been settled here have fallen into a life of living off the fruits of the land. Watched over by the elementals, the Twelveswood gives the people all that they need to survive. It was my starting city and remains my home point to this day. I honestly don't think there's anything that could really change that as well. It has a sense of nostalgia at this point, like coming home and drinking a warm cup of cider. It's like wrapping myself in a warm little blanket and getting a pat on the head. Out of every city in the game, this has always seemed to be the most inviting to me. It doesn't have a confusing layout like Ul'dah, it doesn't have the population issues of Limsa, it sits right in the middle of the two. With a nice population, it always seems to be the right amount of bustling, and with a good layout, you never seem to get lost. After taking extended breaks from the game, it's like booting up to see my wooded home feels like a breath of fresh air. Gridania will also always be my character's home. I made up a backstory of her living here with her adopted family and growing up in Gridania. It's where I've spent a majority of my free time in the game idling waiting for cues to pop. The music of Gridania does something magical to me as well. Hearing the strings starting up at the beginning of the daytime theme, Whalers and Water Wheels, feels like waking up from a good nap. It's where my favorite seasonal events take place, All Saints Wake being the highlight of every year. Honestly, has some of the best seasonal drops every single time. I used the glam from one of the years from All Saints Wake for a very, very long time. As day turns to night, the city's vibes go from cozy to ultra cozy. Dance of the Fireflies starts up, the night theme to the city, and it feels like I'm watching an orchestra play something just for me, with enough whimsy to fill my tank to go on an adventure. The lights the lanterns give off feel warm and inviting. Something about that glowing light just makes me feel safe and secure. Gridania is so close to nature, it feels like the region that is allowing me to live out my childhood dreams of exploring the woods without abandon. And Gridania is the place in those woods that will always welcome me back home with open arms. In the world of Eorzea, I will forever love this town. Adventures in the woods always gets my mind racing. Not only does it remind me of childhood, but I'm sure that the joy that it can give me can never fully be described. A deep calm that runs over me and makes me feel like things are going to be alright. Between the places I already talked about, there has been a tend to link to nature. The primal urge to walk on a forest trail and take in the sights. The place that I have listed as being cozy all have that in common, and sometimes I feel like I will go on walks in my dreams alongside a very strange rabbit cat thing. Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil is a game that I hold very deep in my heart. It's one of those games that I rented from Blockbuster over and over and over and over again until the copy my Blockbuster had stopped working, that was. I specifically remember going to play it one day and getting super angry at my brother because I thought he broke it. But this game has something that has never quite left my head since I was a child. Klonoa himself is one of my favorite video game characters of all time. This PS2 game just oozes vibes, joy, melancholy, wistfulness, and whatever the heck Stepping Wind is supposed to give you. but out of all the stages in this game that I could talk about, the melancholy of the Maze of Memories, or the sorrow that is the ruins of Huponia, the one I really want to focus on is the second main level of the game, La-Lakoosha. After getting to know your travel companions a little, you are tasked with going to see the High Priestess herself so that Lola can become a full priestess and ring the 4 bells of Lunatea. The first bell is at the top of La-Lakoosha, and it is a very lovely trek. The entire stage is a very vibrant green. Out of the 4 elements, La-Lakoosha is the Kingdom of Tranquility, and I think they made the level represent that very well. Every step of the way you are climbing up and up this mountain on a path made of ruins and caves. But never once do I feel like I was in any sort of danger. Like going on a walk through the woods, La-Lakoosha brings this air of calm. The rushing waterfalls, the glowing fungi in the caves, and the scenic views. Nothing ever seems like it is truly out to harm you. Just the creatures along the path are doing what they would normally do. Being one of the first levels in the game also kind of helps this vibe. It's easy on purpose to help ease the player into the mechanics of Klonoa. There are some light puzzle-solving elements here, and it really gets you to think that even though you are stuck on a 2D plane, the game itself is very much in a 3D space. Now, all of this would be fine for a normal, cozy starting level, but what really sends it over the edge, like most places on this list, is the music. The song that plays on this level is called To the Path of the Goddess Claire. The song was composed by, and forgive me for this pronunciation, Kaneko Kakino, whose other works include being the audio supervisor of Tekken 7 and 8, the sound director for We Love Katamari? Okay, wow, okay. Anyway, The Path of the Goddess Claire is one of my favorite songs from Klonoa 2's soundtrack. It's very calming, wistful, and, well, tranquil. I always find myself coming back to this song to listen to it when I need to be in focus or in a calm state of mind. Going back to the walks in the woods, this song feels like it would be going in my head during one of those walks. The instrument choice on this song is just perfect for the vibe that you are given. A calm, relaxing song for a starter level. La-Lakoosha is an amazing, cozy start to the game that brings so many emotions. Joy, discord, indecision, sorrow, and tranquility. I don't think I could ever forget the feelings that Klonoa 2 brought me as a child and as an adult, but I will keep wanting to revisit La-Lakoosha to keep going on those calming walks and be able to clear my mind once more. Before we leave the woods, there are a few more things that I find cozy about the woods. The colors in the fall, the crisp, clean air of the forest trail, the calming sense of clarity the actions in the woods bring. But there's something else that brings me a lot of feelings, and that is discovering something cool in the woods. Whether that be a cool stick, or rock, or a critter. The woods are teeming with life that has always been there, things that call the woods and forests home. Trees, insects, small animals, big animals, even some people, it's home to so many things, but one of the most important things that can be found where you least expect it. Nier Automata. Bet you didn't expect me to pivot here now, did ya? If you don't know what Nier Automata is, well, how do I explain it? It's a character action game created and directed by the wacky man in a mask, Yoko Taro, a very eccentric person. If there's one thing you can count on Yoko Taro for, it's very atmospheric, moody, and philosophical games. Automata is about androids fighting machines in the far-off future. Humanity has fled to the moon and started Project Yorha, a group of androids solely focused on fighting the threat of the machines. This war has been going on for so long that no one is entirely sure how it started. You play as 2B, a Yorha combat unit set to fight the machines in the ruins of Earth. This game has a vibe to it that no other game can compare. It feels hollow in a way. There's no life besides a small group of androids and animals living on the Earth to help fight the good fight or just be alive. Most of humanity has disappeared from the planet or fallen into ruin. You are walking around abandoned cities and structures. It's just 2B and 9S exploring and fighting in the remnants of what little remains. And a lot happens, but after one mission, a strange machine waving a white flag appears. Following it, 2B and 9S run into a very strange sight, a village of non-hostile machines. The Machine Village is not something I think a lot of people would describe as cozy. It's a ramshackle village built around a very large tree in the forest just outside of an amusement park. But there's something about it that's super charming to me. Like a bunch of children decided to make a secret fort where their parents couldn't see. It's one of the few places in the game where there is anyone to talk to, a place to buy items and get side quests. In such a rundown world, this place ironically feels alive. Even when full of machines that are trying to emulate emotion and humanity, it's kind of rusted down, but it's got its charms. A place to be safe in a world of war and ruin to the best of the machine's abilities. And the machines are kind of cute. They're small and their faces are just two dots. The village is led by the most human out of all the machines you've met in the game too, Pascal. They are a lovely character who opens up their village to you, even though you are technically the enemy. Sometimes I like to take breaks and just watch the sun go down through the leaves on the trees and look at the quaint little buildings in the village. When taking in the surrounding vibes, you are hit with the theme song of the village. Composed again by, forgive my pronunciation, Kichi Okabe, the song hits you with a very childish feeling. Sung in high-pitched vocals in a language made for the Nier series, the song feels like it's coming home in a way, like listening to your younger sibling sing while they play. The song's name is Pascal, named after the leader of the village. This song is one of the reasons why I just sometimes sit in the village to soak it in. The song itself gives a very innocent vibe to the place, allowing you to put down your guard and trust those you have just discovered. The machines in the village are indeed just like children. They try their best to understand emotion, even if they don't quite fully understand human emotion. The Machine Village will always be one of those places that my brain goes back to when thinking about Nier Automata, because out of all the things you can find in the forest, even in an empty world, life always seems to find a way. And life tends to find a way to blossom even in the situations where they shouldn't. I remember growing up as a kid and finding the little weeds growing up through the cracks in the sidewalk, or the mushrooms on the sides of fallen logs. But even in my own life, with places that I didn't feel safe, there was always some place that I could find to keep myself calm. From the ruins in the city of Nier to the glowing caves of La-Lakoosha, life always tends to find a way to survive and thrive. One of the places that I always seem to remember is the calming space within Affidel, carved out by a forest nymph. Eurydice's hideout in the volcanic layers of Asphodel is not something that you would normally think of when someone says cozy. The layer of Hades itself is very aggressive. The deep red coming from the lava is like screaming how dangerous it is. It limits your movement on the floor. Room transitions are on bone boats, and the enemies start getting harder. It feels like nothing on this layer should be living, and yet Eurydice has carved out a place to call her own. Now, I have talked about this game before, but I specifically want to talk about the feelings that this location gave me, like those pieces of grass growing out of the sidewalk, or that place to hide where I felt scared. This is a place of rest, a place of relaxation. It's a stark contrast to the rest of the layer. You are greeted with a song, one sung by Eurydice herself. The song, titled Good Riddance, cuts through the air when you first arrive. The voice beckons you to go into the room further to see who is singing. Then you see her in the room, made a corner in this fiery lair. She's cooking something and speaks to you warmly, offering Zagreus a dessert for him to make an additional bonus in your run. But what really gets me here is how this feels like a spot of rest. A place to take a moment, to sit down, have a chat, get a snack, and listen to the soothing voice of Eurydice. Even some of the other locations that you can find that are like her room do not give me the same feeling that hers does. I could stay in this room for hours just listening to her sing, to hear her stories, to talk and chat. It feels like a place where everyone, except one obvious person, is welcome. Like walking into your grandma's place and she's offering you cookies and milk. It's a small place, one that doesn't have a lot of space for others, but is welcoming and homely. Something deep in the halls of Hades is a very welcoming sight, because every once in a while, you just need a place to sit and relax. When life gets super busy, it's always nice to find one of those places, whether it be at home with a nice warm drink, or hanging out with friends and watching a movie. Being able to soak in the surroundings around you and feel the vibes of relaxation is super important to deem something as cozy. Something could have the wrong vibes to it. The atmosphere could be perfect, but the people could ruin it. The people around you could be perfectly lovely, but there's a strange smell that throws you off. One tiny thing can make a place go from being cozy and warm to cold and distant. But I find that there are always a few places that people always consider decently cozy. A fireplace, being under the blanket, and for physical places, sometimes small coffee shops. And there's one coffee shop in games that always comes to mind when I think of a cozy place. Persona 5 is a game that I don't even think I have to introduce at this point. I mean, it's got so many crossovers, and Joker is even in Smash. But Persona 5 has the vibes. From the music, to the art, to the UI, the game has style to spare. The story is super engaging, the game is paced wonderfully, and the gameplay has a sense of flow. From day to day, you run around the busy Tokyo streets, doing part-time jobs, side quests, hanging out with friends, and leading the Phantom Thieves. Deep diving into people's cognitions to change the hearts of the masses. And there's a lot in this game, juggling a schedule, fighting shadows, and dealing with social links. It can be very overwhelming at times, but there is this one place that I always come back to, that you always come back to as your home for the game. A cafe hidden on the streets of Yongan-Jaya, Café LeBlanc. Owned and run by your caretaker for the game, Sojiro Sakura, Café LeBlanc is very small, consisting of a few booths and a bar. Joker lives in the attic of this cafe, so it acts as your home base for the game. Every day you start in the cafe, and every day you end here, but there's something about this place that makes it seem more like a home. Maybe it's the color scheme, the earthy colors creating a calming atmosphere. Maybe it's the small space that makes it feel very intimate. Or maybe it's Sojiro himself. Whatever it is, Café LeBlanc is the little space that Joker has carved out to have a home. It's a shared space, but it's a space that is homey. I would love to come here on a rainy day and just order a drink to take in the atmosphere, to just sit in the space and take in the sights, smells, and tastes. It's rare to find places like Café LeBlanc in real life, a place that is run by one person or a small family, where you go in and you are greeted fondly and treated like family. A place where you can go to work on a project quietly or talk to friends in a calm manner. to have a drink with another person, or just let the world melt around you. Sometimes when I'm sitting in the LeBlanc game, I just want to jump through this screen. Also, what really helps the vibes is the song that plays at night when you come home. If you have played Persona 5, you know this song. Maybe if you haven't even played Persona 5, you've heard this song. Beneath the Mask is what helps make the comfortable vibes of LeBlanc stand out even more than it already does. I honestly don't know what coffee and curry they put into the song to make it so calming. It's like coming home from work after a long day and flopping on the couch just to listen to the rain come down outside your window. Like given a warm cup of hot chocolate on a snowy day and just watching the snow fall gently. It's on every work/study playlist on YouTube for a good reason. It's so good to help keep your mind calmed and focused. It's like the composers of Persona 5 soundtrack sent us a gift saying, "Here, we know life can be hectic, listen to this song and be cured of all your woes." Coming back from a palace and then listening to the rain hit the concrete with the first few notes of this song coming on is like... Man, I really don't know how to describe it. Persona 5 just has the vibe like none other, and Café LeBlanc is one of those places I could pull up a chair and vibe. I want to live in this place for even just a moment.
I can't tell you how to see me. Just a cage of bones. There's nothing inside.
The other places I have mentioned are also places that I would love to visit, to have a vacation, or just live in a place like Café LeBlanc for a day or two. But I have lived close to beaches all my life. Being able to swim was something I was taught at a young age. I swam for as long as I could remember, and the beach is a place that I love to visit. So in games, beach levels are places that bring me joy, bring me close to the water. That's something that brings me that comfort. And a few places in games that are cozy bring me next to the water. But there's one place that always comes to mind when I think of the beach and the ocean. Listen, hear me out. I know technically I already talked about the Final Fantasy series, but Final Fantasy XIV is its own series at this point with how big of a game that is. Final Fantasy X and X-2 are games that I grew up on, and they mean a lot to me. They are games that taught me about what it means to live and have lived, about grief, loss, and the joys of being alive. Now, Spira is not a world that I would love to live in. It's extremely dangerous. In Final Fantasy X, it is a world that is in a constant cycle of fear and panic, under the thumb of the monster Sin, where at a moment's notice your life could shatter from underneath you or be lost. Where if you are not sent away by someone whose job it is to lay your soul to rest, you can become a fiend, a monster that will attack without provocation. A world where you just don't want to die, you don't. You just stay around. Spira is a very rough place to live. But there's always one place in that world that made me feel like I was at home, and that is the island of Besaid. There's something about the small island nation that just makes me feel at home. It's the lush island of plant life. It's full of waterfalls and rivers. It's also a very small community, a town that consists of only a few tents outside of a temple. Everyone knows each other and helps each other out. A place where the weather always seems to be perfect, where you can take your shoes off, where you can go to the beach and just stare out at the ocean. The wind blows on your face as you close your eyes and take in the fresh air. There's something about Besaid that makes me want to pack everything up and move to the tropics. where the life seems like it would be easier, but knowing Spira, it's probably full of, well, monsters in danger. I mean, you can't escape the fiends even if you wanted to, but being able to go down to the beach to play blitzball with a group of friends or take a walk behind the waterfalls, it would just be so relaxing. And like a lot of the other places, the music does the heavy lifting, especially the song from 10-2. If I were to put the songs on repeat over and over and over again while walking on the beach, it would be the 10-2 version. There's just something about it that screams, "Welcome home." The piano here is what carries this song over the edge for me. I'm a sucker for a good piano tune. Then the guitar kicks in later and the song is just, gosh. I don't think there's much else I can say about the 10-2 version other than it being one of my favorite tracks in a Final Fantasy game. Music is so important to make a place cozy. The instrument choices, the melodies, the way it's composed, all those things is what makes something sound like you are coming home. And there's no other track that gives off the vibes like the 10-2 version of Besaid. Despite Spira being one of the most dangerous places, Besaid always feels like a place where you could go home and be safe. Even if that feeling would be fleeting, it would still be welcome, and I think that's what makes it cozy. Maybe it's because it's so close to water. I mean, like I said before, I grew up next to a large body of water, so I always found that going to the beach is a chill time for me. Even if it was going on a river walk with a friend or listening to a babbling brook in the woods, water has always made me feel safe. If that makes any sense. If there's one consistent thing about the places that I've talked about in this video, it's that it goes back to my personal life in some way or another. But if there's a water-themed place that I will always think about when it comes to video games that I would call cozy, it would be the place of one of my favorite races in any video game, the Zora. Now, you're probably thinking about 5 different places in your head when I talk about the Zora, and they are usually all called Zora's Domain, whether that be the large structures of the Breath of the Wild version, or the cliffside pools of the Twilight Princess version, but there's always one particular one that stood out to me, and I don't think it's that much of a stretch to call it cozy either. The Zora's Domain in Ocarina of Time is my favorite version of the Zora's home. It's not that much to write home about, but it is the one that I find to be the most cozy. It consists of not much more than a pool of water, a waterfall, a shop, and the chamber for the King of Zoras. But it's got that kind of charm to it. It's something that I could see stumbling upon in the real world. The walls all have the reflection of the water upon them. The place is buzzing with Zora all over. It feels like a place that I would want to take a swim in. And honestly, if they put one copy of this into Nintendo World or something, I would freak out. It's one of the first places in video games that I can remember that I would just sit and absorb the vibes. I want to jump into that pool and just lay on my back looking up at the cave walls. Now there's one thing that puts this place on top of the cozy vibes. Say it with me now, the music. I mean, come on. Zora's Domain is the peak of the calm and chill music. I used to put on a 10-hour version of it and play Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I would get through the whole thing too. This song never gets old. The steel drums echoing and the ethereal vibes of the song send the mood of the domain up into the atmosphere. It's in my top 10 cozy video game songs to chill and relax to. There's a reason it keeps getting remixed and redone for every new Zora's Domain. It's the perfect vibe for the entire place. Imagine walking into a pool and hearing this music. You would feel like you were transported to another world where there was nothing but swimming and relaxing in your future. I can and will listen to this song for hours at a time. It is the reason why the Ocarina of Time version is the version I picked too. The songs, the vibe, the feeling like I could step foot into the domain and just relax. Every ounce of this place makes me just want to sink into the water with a smile on my face. That's the thing about a lot of these places. They gave me a huge smile, a warmth deep down in the cockles of my heart. I noticed while writing this script that a lot of places on here closely relate to my childhood, whether that be the beach or the forest. I was always finding comfort in the places that reminded me of the places that I loved to explore as a kid. But as an adult of 30 years, it's getting hard to remember a lot of those places. But it is easy to remember the feelings those places brought me. So maybe that's why when playing through long games, I tend to gravitate and stay in places that give me those nostalgic feelings. And if you have played every Xenoblade game, you know how long one of those games can take. But there is one place I think a lot about from Xenoblade, and that is the town situated on the Titan of Gormott in Xenoblade 2, the small logging town of Torgoth. Now, Xenoblade 2 is a long game, like 100 hours long. It has a lot of menus, a lot of equipment moving around, but it's also a very emotionally taxing game. The story has a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of moments that will pull on your heartstrings. But that is a lot later in the game, and the game has a very slow start, and it takes a while for all of that to get going. Torgoth is introduced very early in the game. It's one of the first towns you visit. Situated on the roaming Titan Gormott, Torgoth is a home to a decent number of people, a small logging town that seems to be away from all the strife of the world. Torgoth seems like it's taking its own little corner of the world and just living day by day. That's something that I think is what makes it easy to come back to over the course of the game. Like, there's always a place to come and take a break. Watching the cloud sea roll by while the sun sets, or sitting on a bench and watching the people do their thing, Torgoth gives the coziest vibes out of all the towns in the game. Once more, the music really helps give the setting that feeling of being at home. The day theme gives the feeling of being a busy little town, the pace of the song making you feel like you are in a small little market town. The children running around and playing, minding their own business, a place of life. It makes you feel like there isn't any trouble around you, that you are safe in this small market town. That despite what happens in the game, you can come back to this place and relax. Then, as the sun sets down, the town starts to go to bed. The lights flicker on and you hear the night theme kick in. It sounds like you're about to find a place of rest, to sit down on the bench with a friend and talk the night away, or watch the clouds see as the night will never seem to end. The faint glow of the streetlights guiding your way home and to bed. Torgoth's themes just give off this never-ending vibe of feeling at home. I would love to be able to just sit on the bridge and watch the stars, or walk the streets and take in the fresh air. The nighttime theme especially helps those cozy vibes stick with you, a location that I don't think I will ever seem to forget. Speaking of the night sky, if there's one thing in life that I adore, it's stargazing, to look up at the stars and just wonder. Space is both extremely scary and the most awe-inspiring thing, to think of how we are just one small speck in an endless sea of stars. But looking at that night sky, with a warm cup of drink in hand, it makes me feel calm. That despite everything going on in my life, that I'm still here. I am small, but I'm a part of something much bigger than me, and a game from my childhood that would let me go up into space to be in that vast, endless sea of stars to be invited into an observatory to travel the stars is Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy is one of my favorite Mario games. I know a lot of people prefer the second game to the first, but to me, the first will always be my favorite. It's fun, whimsical, and super charming, with a fantastic set of worlds and challenges to go to. But one thing that puts it over the edge for me is the Common Observatory. It is the hub for Mario Galaxy, and it just has so much character to it. It's just fun to explore and exist in. The Lumas are hovering around, inviting you to talk and explore more of this space. Each new set of levels is just another part of this place that the celestial creatures live in. The bath, the kitchen, the library, all of this makes it feel like a space that is lived and cared for. Out of all the hubs in every Mario game, this one is my all-time favorite. It gives me the feeling that I'm safe even in the vast bounds of space. It's another one of those places that if I could, I would hop through the screen. It is small, but it gives me so much wonder and excitement. As a kid, I played this game around Christmas, so coming back to this place, it reminds me of sitting in my basement, only lit by the light of the Christmas tree, the smell of pine, and the warmth of the holiday. The music, once again, comes sweeping in to allow this place to live rent-free in my head. This song, Rosalina in the Observatory, is a waltz that just gives this vibe of grandeur, like I'm in a ballroom surrounded by dancing lights, a feeling that I just stepped into a place of endless wonder, but something calming at the exact same time. It's one of my favorite pieces of music in general. Thanks to when I played this game, it also tends to remind me of the holidays, of watching the snow fall outside my window, the feeling you get when you're a kid on Christmas break, that the world is wonderful and full of so much possibility, that there's this endless possibility of what is out there, not just on our planet, but those out in the stars. That I'm up there in space, dancing on stardust and traveling through dreams. I think I might be overselling it a little bit, but this is what the song makes me feel. This warmth of being a child with the world at my fingertips. It's one of the coziest places in video games in my opinion, and I don't think that much could top the feeling of joy it gives me. And before we wrap up our journey through these places and towns, I just want to go through a rapid fire of a few more places before we reach our final destination. Places that I wanted to include, but might not entirely fit with what I put down as the criteria, or didn't have as much that I wanted to speak about. So let's start off with a place that I feel like Sonic fans really miss. The Chao Garden, specifically the ones from Adventure 2. Come on, Sega, bring these back! I would buy a Sonic game in a heartbeat if these came back. Chao Gardens are the place to go when you no longer want to play the main bulk of the game. What is more cozy than stopping by and playing with small, cute little critters? Training these babies is one of the main reasons I keep coming back to Adventure 2. But the reason it's here in the rapid fire and not getting its own dedicated section is that I feel like this place was designed to be cozy. Between the laid-back music of all three gardens, the low-key gameplay loop, and the cuteness of everything, this place was designed to be laid back and cozy. But the game surrounding this mode was not as much designed in this way. Chao Gardens are the place where I spent a lot of times as a kid. Probably hundreds of hours training Chao, raising specific ones to get specific types, trying to get a Chaos Chao. If you've ever tried that, you know how long it takes. The Chao Garden is peak cozy and I want it to return so bad. Speaking of returning, a place that I return to a lot is Merchant Port from the Rivals of Aether series. It's one of my favorite stages from said series. In both 1 and 2, this stage gives off vibes like none other. Being on the ocean with the waves lapping at your feet, it's a place I would love to hang out, and once again, the music speaks volumes to the mood of the place. One of my favorite songs in the soundtrack. It's also Orcane's home stage, and he's the cutest little whale dog there is. But I think there's a reason why this stage sticks out to me in my mind, and that is the fact that it's on the ocean. Oceanic Breeze is the name of the song, and it just exudes joy and happiness. If there's one place from Rivals that I would love to visit, it would be here. Out of every place in the Kirby universe I would love to visit, however, would be Planet Popstar itself, specifically the one from Kirby 64. I know most of the games take place on Planet Popstar, but hear me out for a second. The stages that Kirby 64 have just makes me want to go take walks. I mean, specifically Stage 2, which is a wonderful fall forest with a song that is calming to listen to. Kirby is one of my favorite series, and Kirby 64 is my favorite game in that series. So when I think of the Kirby games and Planet Popstar, my mind jumps right to this version. The lush green fields of level 1, the fall forests of level 2, and the large castle of level 3. All of them just seem like a joy to visit, and the music is absolutely adorable. The Stage 2 theme, Quiet Forest, reminds me of fall, which is perfect for the visual that the stage provides. But the reason why this is in the rapid fire section at all is that I find this whole game to be like a big hug. It's so adorable and cute, and the chill vibes are just perfect for the game. But Planet Popstar in particular is the place that I find the coziest. Another game that I think deserves to be in the cozy game sphere is the Katamari games. I know that when I get to playing them, it puts me in one of the most zen states that a game can give me. Rolling up everything in sight, cleaning up everything, and listening to music. Man, there's nothing else like it in all of gaming. Its weird visuals and kooky vibes are just on point to make the game something that I never really want to put down. Some standout songs put me in the state of swaddling me up in a warm blanket are as follows: Que Sera Sera, Everlasting Love, Katamari on the Swing, and Lonely Rolling Star. The soundtracks to these games are amazing, by the way, if you've never listened to them. Katamari just has a vibe that will never be matched in any game. There's something so unique about it, and I'm glad to be able to call it one of my favorite series of games. Also, I don't really have a lot to say on this one, but I just need to comment on it. The login screen for Maple Story? Listen, I have no idea why, but it's just the song that sticks into my head. It has made its way onto a lot of my chill out playlists. It's literally just the song, by the way. I don't think I could tell you anything else about the game, other than the fact that its login screen is a vibe and a half. Do I remember how the game plays? No. Do I remember that game at all? Not really. But do I remember the login screen having a song that will just never leave my head? I mean, it's one of the coziest vibe songs, and I think that had to be at least a little bit mentioned. And here we are. The last stop on our journey here is one that means a lot to me personally. The series is something of a hyperfixation for me that just will never seem to end. The characters, songs, and worlds never leave my head, and I think about them almost on a daily basis. It has been with me since I was in elementary school, and it's one of my most important series in my life. I'm of course talking about Kingdom Hearts. Now, there are many places that I feel like could be on this list. Twilight Town feels like it could be on here with its never-ending twilight, lighting the whole world in the warmth of the last breath of daytime. with its theme, lazy afternoons, giving the feeling of being a teen hanging out with friends as the sun sets. And some would argue that it is the most cozy place in the series, but there is one place, one town that, for me, is the place that I wanted to visit above all else in the series, and that is Traverse Town. If you have never played Kingdom Hearts, let me tell you about why this is my pick for the coziest place in the series. After the intro to the first game, after leaving the also very cozy Destiny Islands, you are greeted with the first world outside of Sora's homeworld, and that is Sora being in the back alley of Traverse Town, a world for those who have lost their home world to the darkness. Traverse Town is a world for the lost and weary for those who have no home to return to, and that, at the beginning of the game, is Sora. Sora lost everything and ends up in the lit up streets. The night sky here hangs eternal and the stars shine brightly. It's the first time you explore a world where danger can lurk around every corner, where you have combat, but it still feels welcoming, like a place where you can go to rest, to be safe, despite it all. There is something to this town that makes me keep thinking about it. When I see the lit up streets when I'm driving home or when I'm staring up at the stars, I think of the warm, orange glow coming off the street lamps in Traverse Town, or the neon lights of the shops. This small little town always seemed to bring me comfort. I would always go back here mentally when things are tough, or if I just needed a place to feel safe. The accessory shop's fireplace always seemed like a good place to just sit down and rest. I want to be here. In this town, shrouded by an eternal night, just seems like a place where you can rest. And the music enforces this desire to be in a place like this. A calming song that seems like you are exploring a place that is lived in spite of it all. Like a calming band that is playing by the town square by the warm glow of the lanterns. Like everything going on around you can wait. Take a seat. Listen to the sound of the people bustling around the nighttime streets. To sit and watch the stars. To know that everything will turn out okay. That you can rest, you can sleep if you need. The world is scary and it can be unforgiving, but there are places that you can go. Places that will let you rest, that will let things fade in the background. Places where you can go to watch the stars with your friends and close your eyes. Listen to the things around you and know that in the end, it will be okay. I love Traverse Town because as a kid, it let me go to a place where I felt safe, where things around me melted away, where the warm glow of a lamp could lead me to a place to find security. It's a place for the lost and weary, but it's also a home to many. And this place wants me to feel safe and warm, and I think that out of all the worlds in the Kingdom Hearts series, this is the most cozy place to be around, because being able to feel safe, in spite of it all, is the coziest feeling around. That was quite a tour, huh? I think video games can inspire a lot of different feelings: joy, sadness, despair, anger, hope. But something I think is really wonderful about games is the ability to make you feel that warm tingle inside your heart. To feel that, despite everything, you will be okay. That there are places that can wrap you up in a warm blanket and give you a warm drink to drink. To forget the world around you and watch the stars. And I think that is the coziest thing of all. So it doesn't have to be a game that is specifically designed to elicit that feeling. You can find it anywhere, and all you have to do is look. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I want to thank you all for supporting and just liking and subscribing to me this year. That has really helped a lot in terms of the growth of the channel. I am so thankful for every single one of you who has liked and subscribed and commented on my stuff and helped to boost my content in the algorithms. I hope to get the more content out next year and get some more stuff like this out where it's a lot more generic and about topics that I think are interesting. And I really hope y'all's New Year's goes well and you will have a better year than this year, because good lord, I know that this year was not that great. But anyway, thank y'all for watching one more time, and see you next time.